tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to take a pharmacogenetic test?
Yeah, well, my name's Brian Berry. I've suffered from anxiety for many years, and I was having a bit of problems where the medicines I was taking I wasn't sure if it was medicines. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I was getting to a place where I was sleeping an inordinate amount of hours. My energy levels were at all-time low. I needed help, and I'd gone through doctors, and I'd had different types of tests done, including sleep study tests, looking at all sorts of different things to find out if there was something going on in my body. And as you can imagine, when this was all happening, I was concerned that something more serious was going on. And so when I had the opportunity to have the test done, I'd heard about it over the years. I'd known enough about blood tests that had been done in the States that weren't available in Canada. They were highly coveted, but for whatever reason, we weren't available to test in Canada. So when I had the opportunity to do the test, I thought, I have nothing to lose because nothing's working. I really needed to find something that would help shed some light.
And how did you feel, I guess, how did you feel before you came to personalized prescribing? What did you feel about the test? Did you have any worries or concerns regarding the test?
Yeah, you know what? I think when you kind of start to bottom out, and it wasn't like when you get to a place where you're sleeping all the time and it's just getting worse and worse, you don't really think the worst. You're getting to a place where you're giving up hope. I just thought this is what my way is going to be. It cost me my marriage. Even I have my own company. It was affecting my health and my ability to do my job, to get up and just to work. My memory, all sorts of little things that were starting to go on. I started to feel in my joints very hard to move. After sleeping overnight, my hands were almost frozen. It took a while to get things moving. So, yeah, you're so overwhelmed by everything going on, and despite the fact of trying a whole bunch of different opportunities to try to fix it, nothing's working, and you're starting to think, okay, I'm just going to have to get used to this, and life is going to be what it's going to be for me.
So I guess you had no concerns or worries regarding genetics or genetic information?
No, in fact, just the opposite. I thought, again, because I'd heard enough about it, and we know where the genetics is going to be for the future. Certainly, I have a lot of hope for it. So I was excited. It was really, I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier, but to have that opportunity and to be able to go through the process, I was very excited because I'd kind of given up on everything else.
I see. And so when you started the test process, What did you experience throughout the test process?
Well, how fast it was. I was blown away by how fast it was. The slowest part about the process was myself, because on the date that I got the test or the paperwork to fill out my form to give some direction to the day that I sent it in was almost like a week and a half, and that's just normal life. But once you guys had got all the paperwork, I was blown away by how fast the process began, because I was already talking to the pharmacist about my background, about the paperwork I'd sent in. The genetic test came within, I think, 2 days. Then I sent it in, and I think within 2 weeks of that, all of a sudden I had the test results back, and I'm looking at what was causing some problems. Not only that, I'm having a follow-up phone call to put it into words and to break it down so that I can understand some of the choices I have, or some of the choices that have been made for me that were affecting. And for the first time in a very long time, I was hopeful that I could start to feel better, that there was some real things that could happen.
I'm really glad you felt that way.
Yeah.
And how is it like interacting with our test pharmacist?
Well, I will say this. So, as much as genetics are like this huge opportunity, I think the thing that was really interesting is that when you go to a doctor or you go to your pharmacist, you have X amount of time. That's how the world works. It's a money game. And I'm not taking anything away from what they're doing. So I think even OHIP charges based on, if you go to see a doctor's appointment based on what it is, you have X amount of time, and that's how it's billed, from my understanding from the doctors. A pharmacist has a lineup of 6-7 people behind you, waiting to ask their questions. So they're trying to give you their time, but they're at the mercy of. When I went through, I had almost an hour on the phone And at first, you don't know where to begin because you've got the results in front of you. You don't really know what the questions to ask. But as you're going through it and the pharmacist is unraveling the results and some suggestions, it starts to fall back on some of the experiences and some of the issues, because you're telling me what's going wrong or what the potential side effects of what you're seeing from the results. And now it's opening up in my mind exactly like the problem I'm having with my joints and all these things, which maybe I didn't prior to that think they were all tied in. And so I was like almost like a kid with his mouth wide open going, like, I'm overwhelmed by all this and trying to take notes and the patience and the time that was spent with me. And it wasn't just one phone call. There was when I went to my doctor afterwards, having the opportunity to go back and show what we're doing and showing some of the results of what the changes I was seeing, it felt like for the first time I was being listened to. And not only that, but the results were being incorporated and inferred in a way that was meaningful to me. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
So did your doctor agree to any of the medication recommendations that were made after testing?
Yes, great question. So every single one of them. But because I have multiple problems, which is a serotonin problem I have in my brain, I have diabetes, I have restless leg, I have sleep apnea and anxiety. They're all tied in. So when I got the results back, there was 3 medications specifically that were affecting the tiredness and also affecting some of the side effects that I didn't even realize were tied in. So we're systematically doing one at a time, looking at the first and the most important of those mixes. And so we've already made that change. I'm telling you, within 2 weeks, I noticed a huge difference. So going from, 14 to 17 hours of sleep a day, I'm now, sleeping more regularly. I don't sleep a full 8 hours overnight, so it's a broken thing. So still there'll be points of a day where I may take an hour here or there and just go lay down, but it's not the norm. It's not where I have to go sleep for 6-7 hours. I get up for a half hour and then I'm back down sleeping again. I feel like I got my life back. It's the most amazing. So I'm really, really encouraged. So we've done the first one. I go back in another couple of weeks and then we're going to start working on the second. And then once we've got that under control, and here's the funny thing is that with the first change, there was a couple side effects and the doctor wasn't sure what was going on. Originally, they were going to take me back off. They said, well, we tried it. Let's go back to the original. But because I'd had a talk with the pharmacist and she explained to me exactly what was going on and why, so the titrating on one drug was not, you had to allow for more time. You can't the doctor had taken me off so fast, it had an adverse effect. But she was willing to go back on the old regimen because she just thought it had failed. Which the actual fact was, not a case of it wasn't failed, we didn't handle the changeover properly. So we, through the conversation with the pharmacist, came up with a solution as to how we would handle it. I went back to the doctor, had a meeting on it, and that's exactly how it's been amazing. I honestly cannot say how much of a difference it's made. So we'll start phase 2 in a couple of weeks, and then phase 3 once we get the second under control. So it's also nice to know that that pharmacist is there for me. It's truly like we're doing this together, which is really important because it's one thing to hand over your healthcare to somebody and then expect them to fix you, which I've tried over the years. It doesn't work. So, but to have somebody who takes the time to not only have the answers, but to share with you why the answers have been, and then you can start to see the results, you start to take control back and you start to see for yourself that, yeah, these things do make sense. And if you do in orchestration, work with your health professionals, especially ones that are making a difference or trying to. So it's nice to have those return phone calls and to know that you're still there for me long after that test is done.
Thanks. And so once you touched on it a little bit,
okay.
But how did you really feel after the recommended changes were made? Was there any difference in terms of your work life, your social life, your ability to do your daily life tasks? I know you mentioned you had reduced the number of hours that you slept, but were there any things that you have seen as concrete evidence of positive change?
Well, so imagine if you're sleeping 14, 17 hours a day. It's not one foul swoop. So it tends to, in a 24-hour day, if you've got like maybe 8 hours left, it's broken up into little windows. Now I'll be up at 9 o'clock, which was I couldn't get up before 11 o'clock before. In fact, if I tried to get up, it was so painful. It wasn't like a natural, or I just felt tired or something. I was naturally in pain. And I don't know what that was about. I still don't know to this day, but that's all gone. So I can get up and I can be at my desk at 9 o'clock and I can be working. Maybe 1 o'clock, I'll start to feel a little tired. I can go and lay on the couch for a half hour, set an alarm, and I'm back up and I've got my energy again and I'm going. So I'm 53 now. So, and I share that because if all these years, I've been probably on this medication for at least 20 years, if not more. So if it's taken 20 years or so to get the drugs at a level where they're now affecting my body and affecting my sleep habits, I can't figure that in 2 weeks it's going to completely eradicate everything. So to see that much change. So what it does is as soon as you're not tired all the time, you start to function, you start to see. Because my problem was that because of the sleep problems in the last couple of years, depression set in. I never experienced a depression before. And unlike anxiety and all the other things, it's a black hole. And I know we've all heard that from people talking, but the best way I can explain, when I have anxiety, I can keep going because it gives me unfound energy, right? But with depression, it stops you dead in your tracks. You don't want to get up. You don't want to do anything. So on top of the sleep problems and everything that was going on, I was trapped. I couldn't even help myself. So when I did get up and try to, phone and get expert help and do whatever I had to do, and I saw a lot of people and nobody could really, you start to wonder if, because now I was getting to a place where, where I lived, was I going to still be able to afford it? Was I going to become homeless? And I know that sounds really fantasy, but I think I was probably about 6 months away from that. And that was a reality that was stressing on me internally because I wasn't truly functioning. And I've always been a happy-go-lucky person. I've always had I care about making a difference in what I do in life. And when you can't even get up and have a shower or look after yourself, the basics, there's nothing like it. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So an opportunity like this to start to change all this, amazing.
So based on your experience, would you recommend personalized prescribing's pharmacogenetic testing service to other individuals?
Yeah. Doing this video testimonial is because there's a lot of privacy in what you do, and I really respect that. So you wouldn't do this without getting my approval. And you know what? I'm sure if it didn't work, I wouldn't want to share because I'm giving a lot of information on who I am or what I've gone through. I'm hoping people that I know and will get the benefit of this, and maybe somebody who wouldn't have thought could. So yeah, I cannot say enough. It's changed my life. I am so thankful for the opportunity and for what it's done for my life in a short period. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the next couple of changes too, right? Because how do you go from being an 18-year-old kid who can take on the world and do anything you want to all of a sudden getting up every day and not wanting to see the world and sleeping it away? So to have that revelation, that change as fast as it happened, and I'm 2 weeks after changing my medicines, and I'm having this conversation with you. So I'm very grateful. Highly recommend.
Thanks.